Well, hello there. This is Shane from Shane's Reviews, and I hope you are having a great day today. Today, we're going to be talking about book 4 of the Dorsai series, which was Tactics of Mistake. Now, I know that in the last time that I talked about one of these books, I was like, man, this is kind of like a one-trick pony, but let's give it a shot. It was, of course, wrote by Gordon R. Dickson and narrated by Stefan Rudnicki. Let's have a quick word about the narration and the production quality. Good. Compared to the last several books that I have gone through and listened to, oh my God, thank you, Stefan Rudnicki, and thank you to the production team, because for a change, I haven't wanted to spit nails by the time I got done with the book. So that's awesome. And to be fair, usually Stefan Rudnicki's reading is incredible. I think the first time that I ever heard him was in Ender's Game way back when, and ever since, whenever I find one of the books that he's read, I'm just like, yes, thank you. So that's what that is. The production was on top of its game. It was a really enjoyable book to listen to. Now, the interesting thing about this is it doesn't matter if you've read any of the Dorsai books before or not. If you have not, you can simply pick this one up and go, and you won't be lost. There's a few terms that you'll be introduced to, like I can never get them right, but one is the exotics, one is I think it's the friendlies, but they're absolutely not friendlies. If I'm wrong, correct me down there. You know where it's at. I was really concerned that this format and just it being a different story in a different place at a different time, kind of, was really not going to work out too well. But here I am on the fourth one going, oh, okay, nicely done. We have a main character in this by the name of Cletus, and he is an interesting sort. And the book itself is kind of, to me anyway, a lot more interesting than the other ones that I've read. Mainly because the first one was about somebody that was, kind of an officer. The next one was about somebody that was considered to be a necromancer. The one after that was about a journalist. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, overall the stories all play together very nicely, but as their individual components, the first one was interesting, and the second one I was like, okay. The third one I was like, not so interesting. But this one's where the money's at for me so far in the series. And the reason why is because we have somebody that's a tactician that really knows their stuff, knows where they're at in life, and knows themselves in ways that some people just never can and never will. And that's the thing that really kind of kept me going on this. Like, for instance, the opening scene, Cletus is taking advantage of his first night privileges, meaning that he is sitting with pretty much anybody that he wants to. Anyway, the long of it all is everybody at this table is really playing down on him because he's kind of like the newbie, the new guy. And, what do you know about this, that, and the other? What do you know about being a soldier? And his goal is that he's going to write 26 books that are going to be on tactics. That doesn't really sound like that much of an interesting premises for a story, really, to me personally. But I was wrong. I was completely wrong. I'm glad that I stuck this one out because not only does this book have a solid story behind it, the main character and the characters around him are relatable, and also, I mean, from the standpoint of it just makes sense, the book just continues to go like a juggernaut all the way through into the end. But this book kind of has two endings. Most of the time, whenever there's a book that kind of gets to that point where it's like you feel like it is the ending and should be the ending, but then it just continues on because of, oh, well, here, this random thing happened. Now we have all this to do. I usually don't get behind that very well because then it's almost like they're just trying to stretch the book out to make it a little bit longer, right? But this wasn't the case. There was a point here where the book really could have ended and the story would have been non-affected in a negative or in a positive way. It would have been a solid ending, and in fact could have been done, and none of us would have been any the wiser. But there was so much more that was added after that. It actually enriched the rest of the story. I don't want to give too much of any of it away if you're going to read it. Essentially, we got to find out more about him and his wife. We find out more about the way that his mind works and the way that he was going to try to change everything for the better. He had his own little agenda, but they weren't really interested. They just weren't wanting to give him the power And that's the funny thing about power. Power is earned. It's never given. He hadn't got to the point yet in life where people felt like he was due these sorts of things, I don't think. But in his mind and in his actions, he actually was very much there. And that's what happens, is we see him start this thing and develop it and then train a bunch of people and do a perfect setup for delegation to others so the training will continue without him being involved. And wow, well done. The thing is also in the book, there was a point where the entitlement of the book, the namesake of the book, is actually used within. Sometimes I like that, sometimes I don't. But in this case, I was just like, okay, well done. I see what you did there. I applaud you. Thank you, sir. But I've got to ask that question, is this book worth your time, efforts, and energies? There are some points of the book that it goes way out into right field sci-fi wise, and I absolutely loved it. Apparently, Cletus has this mindset and psychological mindset where he's not able to be hypnotized like everybody else around him. That's one. Two, the doctors have determined to fix the problems that he has with his leg. Psychologically, he's going to reject the leg, and then physically, he will reject it as well. So he asked the doctor to get a hold of one of the exotics that he knows, and then they're going to do a miracle. And that sounds really off-kilter the way that I just said it, but if you read the book, you'll see. And it's not off-kilter, and it's actually pretty cool the way they go about stuff on that. But I digress. Is it worth your time, efforts, and energies? I've got to ask that question, and I think so. Mainly because it's a standalone book. Most of the books up to this point, all these books have really been standalones, but they all tie into the same universe. So with broad strokes, this guy is painting a universe, and I'm kind of curious to see where it goes, as long as it doesn't become pulp. If it becomes pulp, I won't be able to continue with the series at all. It was certainly enjoyable. The characters are highly relatable. I haven't really gotten any emotional attachment to any of the people that are in the stories just yet because they have been all standalone, so you kind of get new characters, but maybe references to old characters, which is perfectly fine. I'm willing to take the experiment and see where we go. Question of the week. I should really start thinking these out, because if I ask the one that I want to ask, it's going to give away something. What would you do with that sort of tactician's mind if you were able to plan so far ahead that people realized that you planned that far ahead only weeks after you had actually done it, or even months in some cases in some of the stuff in this book? Where would you focus your attentions in today's role? Actually, honestly curious. You know what to do down there. And also as a bonus, if you happen to leave a comment and it's interesting, clean, and you're not trying to shill something, then we'll put that up in a video. We're going to record a bunch more so we can get more of them out. But anyway, long of it all is this. I highly enjoyed today's book. I hope that if you pick it up that you enjoyed it as much as I did. I'm not sure which one of the videos that are coming in that you would pick, but if you happen to pick that one or that one, then I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.